and welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn, and in today's video I'll be making 2 cards using the Paper Sweeties Quarterly Sweet Kit. This first card is going to be a 5x7 card, and I have a panel that's cut down to 5x7. I'll probably trim it down and add some mats and layers, but I'm going to start off with a full 5x7 panel and then work from there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stamp out as many words as I can come up with that relate to fall. So, this first word that is the first thing that came to mind when I saw this stamp set, and it's PS latte or pumpkin spice latte. So I thought that it was so awesome that we have enough letters to actually spell that out in full. So each quarter, the kit includes 2 Stampin' Dies sets that are exclusive to the kit until the kit actually sells out. And then, and only then, will you be able to actually buy those Sweet Minis stamp sets from the Paper Sweeties shop. So it's really nice to kind of have first dibs at this when if you're a subscriber of the kit. So here I'm spelling out the word sweater, and as you can see, I need to use the E twice. So what I do is I take it from the first position, and then I just move it to the second position. And that allows me to continue spelling the rest of the word so that I can be a little bit more efficient with, stamping out my words. But I know that I've left exactly the right size gap to go back in and just stamp out that first E by hand. And these stamps are really high quality. I believe they're photopolymer because they have that sort of classic photopolymer smell. And they stamp out really, really well, especially with VersaFine ink. Basically, you only need the one impression and you are good to go. But the nice thing about a stamping press like this one from Crafter's Companion is that if, because the feet on it are pretty high up. After I've stamped it, if I don't move the stamping platform, I can peer underneath to see if I got a full impression, and if I didn't, then I can just press it right back down again, and it's perfect. A lot of times, if it doesn't stamp out perfectly, it has less to do with the quality of the stamp, and mostly to do with just not putting pressure down on that area of the stamp. So I've always found that these stamps work really great. Now for this particular card, I am pulling in some letters from some previous sweet kits. So if you're a subscriber, you will have noticed that your previous Sweet Minis stamp sets have words that are actually in the exact same font and the same size. So if you do subscribe or you've been buying the kits, then you can start to really combine your stamp sets and mix and match and really build up your alphabet. As well, you'll have some duplicate letters, which is really great because then you don't have to do that trick where you move the first instance of the letter around and have to do multiple stampings. So in this case, what I've done is I've pulled the C, and you'll later see that I use a B. Both of those came from the Celebrate Sweet Minis stamp set. And then I also pulled the D from the Friend stamp set, and I think I pulled an O from and the H from the Home stamp set. So with just the addition of just a couple more letters, it's allowed me to create a lot more words. And this is just, at first blush, just an initial brainstorm. I'm sure there's tons more words that you can come up with to suit whatever theme that you want to create this card for. So that's the nice thing about it, is that you can brainstorm up a bunch of cards for whatever theme you like, and chances are you'll be able to spell out a lot of words, plenty to fill up a card. So because I don't have words that sort of fill the card exactly. I've got some large gaps here, smaller gaps there. I wanted to just make sure that everything was sort of all the way to the left and right edge, so that has left me with some irregular gaps in between the words, and I'll just fill those gaps with some images that came from some of the stamp sets that I mentioned earlier. So I lost a little footage, so magically that has already happened. And what I'll do is I will link to all of the products that I use on this card and my next card, so if you're curious to see those, you can head on over to the Paper Sweeties shop and check them out. In this quarter's kit, we also get a second stamp set that has this really scripty handwriting kind of font with these extra little lead-in swirls, which I think are really cute. And they are really great for just filling out and going with sort of your main focal sentiment. And so you've got happy. I stamped it in red and black because I wasn't exactly sure which one I wanted to go with. In the end, I did go with the red one because I felt like that would actually go with the word autumn better, so that it reads as one sentiment. And then I've just got this matte layer that I've cut to, I believe, 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, and then I've trimmed down my stamped panel so that it's slightly smaller than that. So I am popping my happy sentiment on foam, but if you didn't use foam, this would be a rather flat card. But even with this little bit of foam, I think it would still go through the mail just fine. So I had a lot of fun just brainstorming words that you can spell out with this stamp set, because every time I looked at the letters, I came up with a new word, and it just amazes me that you can spell out so many different words with just over half of the alphabet. And so I decided I'll make another card that, again, focuses on the stamp set. And you get a lot of beautiful things in the quarterly kit, but a lot of them are consumable items. The stamp set, however, is something that you're going to use and have in your crafty stash for a good long time. And so finding a lot of ways to use it, I think, is going to get more life out of your products and your kit in general. So I made sure to really clean off my stamp really well. I actually even used a stamp cleaner because I was going to ink this up with white pigment ink onto my red cardstock here, and I definitely don't want to get any black ink onto my white ink pad. And I totally forgot to put down some anti-static powder. I actually just used baby powder, but definitely remember to do that. I do it the second line of letters that I stamp out, and it definitely helps because it removes any static, any moisture, anything at all that might cling to the embossing powder, and you have a lot less that you kind of have to wipe off. You can just really knock off most of the stray embossing powder that hasn't actually stuck to the clear, sticky embossing ink. And then once I heat that with my heat gun and get the embossing powder nicely melted, I have what's going to be sort of my accent word. So instead of stamping it in a different color, I decided to white heat emboss it onto some colored cardstock. And now I'm going to cut out tiles for each of my letters. My tiles are going to be 1/2 inch by 1 1/8 of an inch. And this is another way that if it can be a little bit hard to see the words, then maybe try this, where you stamp out all of the letters a couple of times, and then you can physically move the letters around. And that might actually help you see words, because sometimes when you just stare at it and all the letters are in the same position, it can be hard. But once you move the letters around, you might see a part of a word that then just springs to mind the rest of that word. So I found that this exercise was actually kind of helpful. And what I'm gonna do is sort of a Scrabble board / crossword puzzle kind of effect with these tiles. And again, I did pull in just the C from the Celebrate Sweet Minis set. Otherwise, everything else came from the Seasons Sweet Mini stamp set. So for my accent tiles that are in red, I'm actually tripling up on that tile. So it's going to be a little bit more raised than the rest of the words that are going to be on this card front. I did back the entire 5x7 card front with this gray panel that I dry embossed a dotty pattern onto. I really love embossing my background matte layers because it just adds that little bit of texture and interest without taking anything away from the design of your card. It just helps to make that sort of white space feel a little bit less empty, but still have the effect of being white space in that it's still going to kind of allow your eye to really focus on where you want to put the focus. So, any embossing folder that you have will work a dream. So here I just have a really simple dotty pattern. And so, as you can see, this particular card has everything to do with crafting, and I thought it would be fun to come up with as many words as I could that have to do with crafting. So I've decided to put glitter as my main highlight word, and if I'm gonna have glitter be my highlight, then I need to use glitter on this card, right? So what I've done is, again, stamped out this really delicate heart with some clear sticky embossing ink, and I'm using just this little sample pot of embossing powder from Tonic Studios, and it's a sort of red glittery embossing powder. And I'm using this Quickie glue pen to just fill in that heart with the silver glitter. I think it's from We Are Memory Keepers. And I'm going to let that dry. And then we'll have a glitter heart. Now, originally I thought that I would just kind of trim this down and have it fit into this little area right here. And I'm terrible at cutting straight lines by hand, by the way. And I did manage to get it to the right size, but in the end, I just decided to fussy cut it. And instead of filling it in there, I used it to replace the letter I. So that is my second card complete. So I hope this gives you a couple of ideas for how to use the stamp set. You don't have to just use it to spell out the seasons in the year. There are so many words that you can spell with just, half of the alphabet. If you like this video, please consider liking, commenting, and sharing. And if you want to catch new videos as I post them, hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Thanks again, and until my next video, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye!